The massive alien ship called Harmony's Edge floated in the darkness of space. Inside, Ambassador Kethver walked through the halls with nervous steps. His blue skin showed patches of yellow, a sign of worry among his people, the Zelani. Today was special. Today, they would meet humans for the first time. Kethvar had read all the reports about Earth. The planet was listed as Class 12 Death, world the most dangerous type of world in the galaxy. Most beings could not even think about living there. The gravity was too strong. The weather was too wild. The creatures were too deadly. Yet somehow, humans had not just lived there. They had built cities and traveled to space. Dr. Vextai met Kethvar in the main hall. The Thornian scientist had 6 arms and looked like a giant spider. His research said that Deathworld species were usually tough and mean. They had to be, or they would die. Vextai expected the humans to be like the Celtic warriors, big, strong, and always ready to fight. Are you ready for this? Kethver asked. I have studied Deathworld species for 30 years, Vextai replied, his voice making a clicking sound. These humans should be interesting but predictable. Survival on such a world creates similar traits in all species. Security Chief Quinder joined him. He was a Celtic, standing 8 feet tall with thick armor covering his body. Even he looked nervous. My warriors are ready, he said in his deep voice. But I must warn you, any species that survives a Class 12 world will be dangerous. We should be very careful. The communication system made a soft sound. Ambassador, came a voice. The human ship is asking permission to dock. Kethver took a deep breath. Let them come. Through the big window, they watched a human ship approach. It was smaller than theirs, but looked well built. The name on the side read Liberty Dawn. As it got closer, they could see humans moving around inside through the windows. They seem relaxed, Vextai said, sounding confused. This was strange. Most species were very tense during first contact. The Celtic came with weapons ready. The Thornians brought guards. But the humans looked like they were going on a normal trip. The human ship docked with a soft bump. The aliens waited in the greeting hall. Kethvar had prepared his best formal speech. Quinder had his hand near his weapon, just in case. Vextai held his recording devices to study everything the humans did. The door opened. 3 humans walked in. The first was a man, of medium height with brown hair and friendly eyes. He wore a simple blue uniform with some patches on it. He smiled and raised his hand in greeting. Hello there, he said in a warm voice. I'm Commander Jake Morrison. Thanks for inviting us over. Behind him came a woman with red hair tied back. She looked excited and curious about everything around her. I'm Chief Science Officer Lisa Park, she said. This is amazing. I've never seen a ship like this before. The third human was a big man with graying hair and oil stains on his clothes. Pete Collins, Chief Engineer, he said with a grin. Hope you don't mind. I was just fixing something and didn't have time to change clothes. The alien stared. These were Deathworlders? They looked so normal, so happy. Where was the hard look in their eyes? Where were the scars from fighting? Deadly creatures? Where was the fear that came from living with constant danger? Welcome aboard the Harmony's Edge, Kethvar said, trying to hide his confusion. I am Ambassador Kethvar of the Zelani Union. This is Dr. Vextai, our chief scientist, and security chief Quinder. Jake looked at Quinder's impressive armor and weapons. Wow, that's some serious gear you've got there. Is there something dangerous around here we should know about? Quinder did not know how to answer. The dangerous thing was supposed to be the humans themselves. Please, follow us to the dining hall, Kethver said. We have prepared a meal in your honor. As they walked through the ship, Lisa kept asking questions about everything she saw. How does this gravity system work? What's that blue light for? Oh, is that art on the walls? It's beautiful. Pete was looking at the ceiling and walls with interest. Nice engineering work, he said to Quinder. How do you keep the air so clean in a ship this big? Vextai whispered to Kethvar. They show. No signs of the usual Deathworld conditioning. No paranoia, no aggressive posturing, no survival instincts. This is very strange. The dining hall was set up to impress their guests. The best foods from 3 different worlds were arranged on the table. Soft music played in the background. The lights were dimmed to create a peaceful mood. This is incredible, Jake said, looking around. You really didn't have to go to all this trouble. Please sit, Kethvar said. We want to learn about your people and your world. As they sat down, Kethvar began to serve the food. This is Jaka fruit from my homeworld, he said proudly. It has a very strong taste. Many species find it too intense. Jake tried it and smiled. It's good. A little sweet, kind of like a mango, but with more kick. Lisa tried some too. Interesting flavor. What's this other one? That is fire root from the volcanic world of Kestar, Vextai said. It is known for its burning sensation. Warriors eat it to prove their strength. Pete took a big bite and chewed thoughtfully. Not bad. Reminds me of the hot sauce my dad used to make. He grew these peppers that could make you cry just by looking at them. The aliens looked at each other. Their strongest foods were just normal to these humans. Tell us about your world, Kethvar said. It must have been difficult to survive. There? Earth? Oh, it's great, Jake said with a smile. Sure, we have some challenges, but that's what makes life interesting. Challenges? Quinder leaned forward. Our reports say your world has massive storms, deadly creatures, and toxic areas. Well, yeah, Lisa said, laughing. But you learn to deal with it. Last summer, I went camping in Yellowstone. Saw some bears, but they mostly keep to themselves. If you're smart about food storage. Bears? Vextai asked. Big furry creatures with claws and teeth, Pete explained. They can weigh about 600 pounds. Sometimes they wander into towns looking for food. The aliens stared in shock. These humans lived near creatures that could kill them, and they talked about it like it was nothing. But surely your cities are. Safe? Kethvar asked. Mostly, Jake said. Though we do get the occasional tornado, earthquake, or hurricane. Just part of life, you know. Dr. Vextai was taking notes as fast as he could. These humans were unlike any Deathworld species he had ever studied. They were not grim survivors. They were cheerful beings who treated deadly danger like a minor inconvenience dot as the meal continued. The aliens began to realize they might have made a serious mistake about what kind of species they were dealing with. The next day, Dr. Vextai set up his research room to study the humans more closely. He had spent all night reading his notes from dinner. Nothing made sense. These humans should be hard and mean after living on such a dangerous world. Instead, they seemed happy and relaxed. Jake Morrison came to the first interview. He sat in the chair and looked around the room with curiosity. So, what would you like to know? Jake asked with a smile. Vextai looked at his notes. Tell me about your childhood. Growing up on a Deathworld must have been very hard. Hard? Jake thought for a moment. I guess some parts were tough. I grew up in Colorado, in the mountains. Lots of snow in winter, wild animals around. But it was fun, too. Fun? Vextai did not understand. Please explain. Well, we used to go skiing down the mountains really fast. Sometimes we would build snow forts and have snowball fights. In summer, we would hike up to see the bears and elk. Once, I fell off my bike and broke my arm, but that taught me to be more careful. Vextai wrote quickly. The human child had been thrown down mountains at high speed for entertainment. He had been made to fight with projectiles. He had been injured badly enough to break bones, and he talked about it like it was a good memory. What about your education? How were you trained to survive? Oh, you mean school? It was okay, I guess. We learned math, science, history. Had to do some sports too. I played football. Football? Vextai made a note to research this later. Yeah, it's a game where you try to carry a ball to the other end of a field while the other team tries to stop you. They tackle you pretty hard. Sometimes. I got my bell rung a few times, but it builds character. Vextai's hands were shaking as he wrote. Humans trained their young by having them attacked by groups of other humans while carrying objects. Getting your bell rung sounded like some kind of head injury. After Jake left, Pete Collins came in for his interview. The big engineer sat down and looked at the strange alien equipment with interest. How do you handle the stress of living in constant danger? Vextai asked. Pete laughed. Constant danger? I don't know about that. I mean, yeah, my job can be a little risky sometimes. Last month I had to fix a reactor leak while we were in flight. The radiation levels were pretty high. You worked with deadly radiation? Vextai could barely hold his pen. Sure, but I had a suit on. Well, mostly. The helmet was cracked a little. And I'd had a couple beers with dinner, so maybe I wasn't as careful as I should have been. But hey, the job got done. Vextai realized that this human had voluntarily entered a radioactive area while drunk, and he was laughing about it. Do all humans take such risks? Nah, some people are more careful than others. My buddy Frank is scared of heights, won't even climb a ladder, but he loves deep-sea diving. Goes down with the sharks and everything. So some humans were afraid of small heights, but comfortable swimming with sea predators. Vextai decided he needed to understand human entertainment better. When Lisa Park came for her interview, Vextai asked her to show him what humans did for fun. Oh, that's easy, Lisa said. She pulled out a small device and connected it to the room's viewing screen. I brought some videos from Earth. Want to see some nature documentaries? They're really cool. She started a video called Planet Earth, Ocean Deep. Vextai watched as the screen showed the vast blue oceans of Earth. This is the Pacific Ocean, Lisa said happily. It covers about 1/3 of our planet. The video showed massive creatures swimming in the dark water. First came something called a blue whale, as big as a spaceship. Then sharks with rows of sharp teeth. Giant squids with arms longer than trees. Fish with lights on their heads that looked like demons from Vextai's worst nightmares. These creatures are beautiful, Lisa said as a great white shark tore apart. A seal, so perfectly adapted to their environment. And humans ... swim in these waters? Vextai asked quietly. Oh, sure. I love swimming in the ocean. Went surfing in Hawaii last year. The waves were amazing. Some of them were 20 feet tall. Vextai made a note. Humans voluntarily enter water filled with massive predators and allow themselves to be thrown around by giant walls of moving liquid. Of course, you have to watch out for things like rip currents, jellyfish, and sharks, Lisa continued. But that's all part of the fun. The video changed to show something called a box jellyfish. The narrator explained that its sting could kill a human in minutes. This is one of the most dangerous creatures on Earth, the video said. Yeah, we have a lot of those, Lisa said casually. Snakes, spiders, crocodiles, polar bears, poison frogs. Makes life interesting. After Lisa left, Vextai sat alone in his research room. His notes looked like the report of a madman. Humans lived on a world full of creatures that could kill them easily. They swam with sea monsters for fun. Their children were trained through organized violence. They worked with deadly radiation while drunk, and they were happy about all of it. That evening, the aliens met to discuss what they had learned. I think we made a mistake, Kethver said quietly. These humans are not what we expected. They are worse, Quinder said. My people are warriors, but we fight for honor and territory. These humans seem to seek out danger for no reason at all. It gets stranger, Vextai said, reading from his notes. They have something called extreme sports, where they throw themselves off cliffs, race vehicles at deadly speeds, and fight each other in cages. They pay money to do these things. The three aliens sat in silence. In all their years of contact with different species, they had never encountered anything like this. What should we do? Kethver asked. We need to understand them better, Vextai said. Tomorrow, I will ask them to show us their entertainment. Maybe that will help explain their strange behavior. None of them could sleep that night. They all had the same thought. What kind of entertainment would a species like this create? The next morning, Jake Morrison came to the meeting room where all three aliens were waiting. You wanted to see some human entertainment? Jake asked. That's great. We brought lots of good stuff. Movies, TV shows, sports, music videos. What would you like to see first? The aliens looked at each other nervously. Perhaps you could choose. Kethver said, Show us something that represents human culture. Jake smiled and connected his device to the room's big screen. I know just the thing, he said. Let's start with some classics. Jake Morrison stood in front of the big screen with a happy smile. The three aliens sat in their chairs, ready to learn about human culture. They expected to see stories about war, survival, or maybe hunting dangerous animals. I'll start with something fun and family-friendly, Jake said. These are cartoons we show to our children. The screen lit up with bright colors and cheerful music. A small gray rabbit appeared, wearing white gloves and eating a carrot. This is Bugs Bunny. Jake explained. He's been around for almost 100 years. Kids love him. Vextai took out his notepad to record everything. A children's story seemed safe enough. On the screen, a hunter with a large gun was chasing the rabbit. The hunter shot at Bugs Bunny with explosive ammunition. The blast was huge and left a smoking crater in the ground. The aliens jumped in their round seats, but then something impossible happened. The rabbit walked out of the smoke, completely fine. His fur was just a little messy. Of course, you know, this means war, the rabbit said, and the aliens saw that he was smiling. What followed was 20 minutes of extreme violence. The hunter was blown up with dynamite. His face was flattened by falling rocks. He was shot from cannons. Electric currents ran through his body. At one point, his head was completely separated from his body. But just like the rabbit, the hunter always came back. Every injury healed instantly. Every explosion just made him look silly instead of dead. The aliens watched in growing horror as Jake laughed at the screen. Classic stuff, Jake said. The kids always love this part. On screen, the hunter's gun exploded in his face, turning his head into a blackened ball. The aliens could see his skull through his burned skin. Your children watch this? Quinder asked in a shaky voice. Oh, sure. It's harmless fun, Jake replied. It's just pretend violence. Nobody really gets hurt. But Vextai was writing frantically. Human children were trained from birth to find extreme violence funny. They learned that terrible injuries were not serious. They saw beings torn apart and put back together like it was normal. Let me show you some more, Jake said, switching to another video. This is Tom and Jerry, another classic. This time it was a cat chasing a mouse. But again, the violence was incredible. The cat was cut in half with an axe. The mouse dropped heavy objects on the cat's head. There were explosions, electric shocks, and scenes of torture that would be considered war crimes among most alien species. And Jake kept laughing. Humans find this entertaining? Kethver asked. It's comedy, Jake explained. The timing is perfect. and the expressions on their faces are hilarious. Lisa Park walked into the room during a scene where the cat was being set on fire. "Oh, you're watching cartoons," she said happily. "Are you showing them the Three Stooges?" "Two? That's some of the best physical comedy ever made." "Great idea," Jake said. He switched videos again. The new video showed three human men hitting each other with hammers, poking each other's eyes, and slapping each other's faces. The sound effects made every impact seem incredibly painful. The aliens watched as one human put his hand on a hot stove on purpose. Another stuck his finger in an electrical outlet. A third one was hit in the face with a pie, then immediately walked into a door. "This is considered funny?" Dr. Vextai asked. "Oh yeah," Lisa said, sitting down to watch. "Look at this part. He's going to get his head stuck in that fence." Sure enough, one of the humans got his head trapped between metal bars. His friends tried to help by hitting him with sticks and pulling on his ears. All three aliens were taking notes now. Humans enjoyed watching their own species suffer. They found pain and injury amusing. They taught these concepts to their children through colorful stories. "We have lots more," Pete Collins said, joining the group. "You want to see some really funny stuff? Check this out." He loaded a video called Funny Home Videos. It showed real humans falling down stairs, walking into glass doors, and getting hit by swinging objects. "These are real people?" Quinder asked. "Yep, just everyday folks having accidents," Pete said with a grin. "People send these videos to TV shows. The funniest ones win money." So humans were paid to injure themselves for the entertainment of others. One video showed a human trying to jump over a fence and falling badly. Another showed someone slipping on ice and hitting their head on concrete. A third showed a person being knocked down by a large dog. The aliens watched a human child ride a bicycle off a roof and crash into a pool. The family was laughing and cheering. "That child could have been seriously hurt," Kethver said. "Nah, kids are tough," Pete replied. "I did stuff like that all the time when I was young." Built character. The video collection seemed endless. Humans falling off trampolines. Humans being hit by baseballs. Humans accidentally setting things on fire and running around screaming. And the three human crew members laughed at every single one. "You know what might be fun?" Lisa said. "Show them some sports highlights." "Good thinking," Jake said. "Sports really show what humans are capable of." He loaded a video of something called football. The aliens watched as large humans in armor ran into each other at full speed. The impacts looked powerful enough to break bones. "This is a game?" Vextai asked. "One of our most popular sports," Jake explained. "See that guy? He just got tackled by three defenders at once. That's going to hurt tomorrow." On screen, a human player was hit so hard that he flipped upside down in the air before hitting the ground. The crowd cheered wildly. "Do players ever get seriously injured?" Quinder asked. "Oh, sure," Pete said. "Broken bones, torn muscles, head injuries. But that's just part of the game. The tough ones play through the pain." The aliens watched more sports. Ice hockey, where humans hit each other with sticks and fought with their bare hands. Boxing, where the entire point was to punch the opponent in the head until they fell down. Wrestling, where humans threw each other around like toys. "This is insane," Kethver whispered to Vextai. "It gets worse," Vextai whispered back, looking at his notes. "They're not done yet." As if he heard them, Jake smiled and said, "Want to see something really exciting? Let me show you some extreme sports." The aliens watched in terror as humans jumped off cliffs with only a rope tied to their feet. Others threw themselves out of aircraft, thousands of feet in the air. Some rode motorcycles off massive jumps, spinning in the air before landing. These people are trying to kill themselves, Quinder said. No way, Lisa laughed. They're just having fun. The more dangerous it is, the bigger the rush. One video showed a human climbing a mountain with no ropes or safety equipment. Another showed someone surfing waves as tall as buildings. A third showed people racing cars around a track at speeds that would be fatal if they crashed. The more dangerous, the more fun? Vextai asked weakly. That's the idea, Pete said. Life's too short to play it safe all the time. The three aliens sat in stunned silence. They had thought they understood violence and danger. Their own species had wars and conflicts. But this was different. Humans didn't just accept danger. They created it for entertainment, and they were smiling about it. Dr. Vextai had not slept in 2 days. His research notes now filled 3 data tablets, and every page made him more confused and scared. The humans had shown them sports where people tried to hurt each other, and extreme activities where people risked death for fun. But somehow, he knew it was going to get worse. The next morning, all 3 aliens met in the conference room. They looked tired and worried. We need to understand how deep this goes, Kethver said. Are all humans like this? My research suggests. Yes, Vextai replied, his 6 arms shaking as he held his notes. But I fear we have only seen the beginning. When the humans arrived, they seemed even more cheerful than before. Did you enjoy the videos yesterday? Lisa asked with a bright smile. We have so much more to show you. More? Quinder asked quietly. Oh, sure, Pete said. We barely scratched the surface. Wait until you see competitive eating. He loaded a video on the screen. It showed humans sitting at a long table with plates of food in front of them. But this was not a normal meal. This is the hot dog eating contest, Pete explained. The world record is 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes. The aliens watched as humans stuffed food into their mouths as fast as possible. They barely chewed. Some of them looked sick, but they kept eating. The crowd around them was cheering and counting. This food would kill most alien species, Vextai whispered to Kethver. I know, Kethver whispered back. Here's a good one, Jake said, switching videos. Ghost Pepper Challenge. The new video showed a human eating something called a ghost pepper. Within seconds, the person's eyes were streaming with water. Their face turned red. They were clearly in terrible pain. That pepper is 400 times hotter than your strongest spice, Lisa told Vextai. Some people eat them just to see if they can handle it. But why? Vextai asked. For the challenge, Lisa replied like it was obvious. Plus, the videos get lots of views online. So humans poisoned themselves with burning plants for social recognition. Check this out, Pete said excitedly. This is from the Wing Bowl. People eat thousands of chicken wings covered in the hottest sauces on Earth. The video showed humans eating wings while sweat poured down their faces. Some were clearly suffering, but they kept eating. The audience was screaming and laughing. The winner ate 444 wings, Pete said proudly. Amazing, right? The aliens did not think it was amazing. They thought it was terrifying. Let's show them some of the really fun stuff, Jake said. How about roller coasters? The new video showed a massive metal structure with tracks that went up, down, and in loops. Small cars full of humans raced along these tracks at incredible speeds. This one goes 120 miles per hour, Lisa explained as they watched. And see that drop? That's 400 feet straight down. The camera showed the view from inside one of the cars. Humans were screaming as they fell through the air, but they had their hands up in the air and were clearly enjoying it. They pay money to be dropped from deadly heights while moving at lethal speeds, Quinder said to himself. The best part is the loop, Jake said. You go upside down while pulling 4 Gs of force. It's incredible. On screen, the car went through a complete circle. The humans inside were pressed into their seats by forces that should have knocked them unconscious. Some people ride these things 20 times in a row, Pete added. There's this place called Six Flags where they have dozens of different coasters. An entire facility dedicated to near-death experiences, Vextai wrote in his notes. Oh, you should see bungee jumping, Lisa said. That's where you tie a rubber cord to your feet and jump off a bridge or a tower. She showed them a video of humans throwing themselves off tall structures, falling most of the way to the ground before the cord caught them at the last second. What if the cord breaks? Kethfer asked. Then you die, Jake said with a shrug. But that hardly ever happens. The danger is part of the thrill. The aliens were starting to understand something horrible. Humans didn't just accept risk. They actively sought it out. The closer they came to death, the more they enjoyed themselves. Here's something really cool, Pete said, wingsuit flying. The video showed humans jumping out of aircraft while wearing special suits that let them glide through the air. But they weren't just gliding. They were flying inches away from cliffs and trees at over 100 miles per hour. One wrong move and they'd be crushed against the rocks, Quinder observed. That's what makes it exciting, Pete replied. What about this? Lisa said, loading another video. Free solo climbing. The screen showed a human climbing a massive cliff with no ropes, no safety equipment, and no help. Just bare hands and feet on Tiny holds hundreds of feet in the air. If he falls ... Vextai started to say, he dies, Lisa finished. But look, at that focus, that skill, it's like watching an artist work. The human on screen was thousands of feet above the ground, holding on with just his fingertips. The camera showed the view down. It was certain death if he slipped, and he was smiling. This is Alex Honnold, Jake explained. He's climbed some of the most dangerous walls in the world without any safety gear. He's a legend. So humans celebrated those who risked death most boldly. I think I'm starting to understand, Kethvar said slowly. But I have to ask, do you have any entertainment that doesn't involve potential death or injury? The three humans looked at each other and started laughing. Well, there's horror movies, Pete said. Horror movies? Vextai asked, though he was afraid to hear the answer. Yeah, stories designed to scare us, Lisa explained. The goal is to be as frightened as possible while watching. You create fiction specifically to terrify yourselves? Quinder asked in disbelief. Absolutely, Jake said with enthusiasm. Some of them are so scary that people have heart attacks watching them. But that's how you know they're really good. Vextai dropped his pen. His hands were shaking too much to write. Would you like to see one? Lisa asked cheerfully. The three aliens looked at each other. They had come here to study a new species. Instead, they had discovered something that challenged everything they thought they knew about intelligent life. Yes, Kethver said quietly. Show us. He had to know just how far into madness these humans had gone. The lights in the conference room dimmed. Jake Morrison had chosen what he called a mild horror film for the aliens to watch. The title appeared on the screen, A Quiet Place. This is pretty tame, Jake explained to the three terrified aliens. More suspense than gore. I thought we'd start easy. The movie began. A family lived in a world where monsters hunted by sound. The creatures were fast, deadly, and nearly impossible to kill. The family had to live in complete silence, or they would die. Within 10 minutes. Ambassador Kethver was gripping his chair so hard that his claws left marks in the metal. Dr. Vextai had covered 4 of his 6 eyes. Security Chief Quinder was reaching for weapons that weren't there. On screen, a small human child accidentally made noise. The monster came running. The family scattered in terror. This is horrible, Kethver whispered. She, Lisa said from Behind them, you're going to miss the good part. The aliens turned around. All three humans were eating something called popcorn and watching the screen with excitement. They looked like they were having fun. How can you enjoy this? Vex-Die asked in a shaky voice. The tension is amazing, Pete replied quietly. See how the director builds suspense? You know something bad is going to happen, but you don't know when. On screen, the monster found the family. There was a chase scene through a dark forest. The aliens watched in horror as the humans on screen barely escaped death. This is considered entertainment? Quinder asked. One of the more popular genres, Jake said. Horror movies make billions of dollars every year. So humans paid large amounts of money to be scared. The movie continued. The aliens witnessed scenes of violence, terror, and death that would give most species nightmares for years. But the three humans next to them kept eating popcorn and making excited comments. Oh, this part is great, Lisa said as a character. Was about to be killed. The sound design here is incredible. When the movie ended, the aliens sat in stunned silence. Their notes were scattered on the floor. Their hands were still shaking. That was good, Jake said, stretching. But if you really want to be scared, you should watch something like Hereditary or The Conjuring. Those will really get your heart pumping. There are worse ones? Cuthbert asked weakly. Oh, sure, Pete said. Some horror movies are so intense. The theaters have to keep paramedics on standby. People faint, have panic attacks, sometimes even heart attacks. But that's how you know it's a really good scary movie. Dr. Vex-Die looked at his research notes. Pages and pages of impossible. Observations. Humans who sought out danger for fun. Humans who paid to be terrified. Humans who turned pain into competition and death into entertainment. I don't understand, he said finally. How does your species survive? How did you even make it to space? You should have all died millions of years ago. The three humans looked at each other. For the first time since the aliens had met them, they seemed to realize that something was wrong. What do you mean? Jake asked. Your behavior makes no sense, Vex-Die continued, his voice getting higher. Every species we have met follows basic survival instincts. They avoid danger. They protect themselves. They fear death. But you actively seek out danger. You create fear for entertainment. You compete to see who can suffer the most. This should have made you extinct. Ambassador Cuthbert stood up from his chair. His blue skin was now completely yellow with stress. We came here expecting to meet typical Deathworld survivors, he said, his voice shaking. Tough, careful beings who had learned to survive against terrible odds. Instead, we found creatures who treat mortal danger like a game. Jake Morrison looked genuinely confused. I'm sorry, but I don't understand what's wrong. What did you expect us to be like? Serious, Quinder shouted, jumping to his feet. Careful, afraid. You live on a world that could kill you in 1,000 different ways, and you act like it's a playground. The humans looked at each other, then back at the aliens. Well, Lisa said slowly, I guess it kind of is a playground. The three aliens stared at her. Look, Pete said, trying to help the aliens. Understand, Earth is dangerous, sure. But that's what makes life interesting. If everything was safe and boring, what would be the point? The point would be staying alive, Vex-Die yelled. But just staying alive isn't enough, Jake explained. You have to really live. You have to push yourself. You have to test your limits. Otherwise, you're not really living at all. Cuthbert sat back down heavily. This is impossible. How do you have children? How do you build cities? How do you create art and science when you're all trying to kill yourselves? We're not trying to kill ourselves, Lisa said with a laugh. We're trying to feel alive. There's a big difference. She pulled out her device again, and loaded a new video. "Watch this," she said. "These are people reacting to riding their first roller coaster." The video showed humans getting off a ride called The Beast. Their hair was messy, their faces were red, and they were breathing hard. But they were also smiling huge smiles and laughing. Again. One person shouted, "Let's go again." "See," Lisa said. "They're not trying to die. They're trying to feel the most alive they can." But the danger ... double quotes Vex started. "The danger is..." "What makes it special?" Jake interrupted. "Without risk, there's no reward. Without fear, there's no courage. Without challenge, there's no growth." Pete nodded. "My grandfather used to say, a ship in harbor is safe, but that's not what ships are built for. We weren't built to hide from danger. We were built to face it." The aliens were quiet for a long moment. Finally, Quinder spoke. "So when you climb mountains, ... we do it because it's there, and because we can," Jake said. "And when you swim with predators ... we do it because it's amazing and beautiful," Lisa added. "And when you watch horror movies, we do it because being scared can be fun when you know you're really safe." Pete finished. Dr. Vex picked up his scattered notes and looked through them again. Slowly, a new understanding began to form. "You don't have broken survival instincts," he said quietly. "You have evolved beyond them." "What do you mean?" Kethfer asked. "Most species develop fear to avoid death," Vex explained, his excitement growing. "But humans lived with so much danger for so long that they learned to master their fear instead of being controlled by it." He was writing rapidly now. "They can choose when to be afraid and when to be brave. They can turn terror into excitement. They can find joy in things that would paralyze other species." "So we're not crazy?" Lisa asked with a grin. "You're the opposite of crazy," Vex said. "You're the most psychologically advanced species we've ever encountered. You've turned your death world into a training ground for the mind." Ambassador Kethfer was beginning to understand too. "That's why you're so calm about everything. You've already faced worse things than we could imagine." "Pretty much," Jake said. "After you've surfed a 30-foot wave or jumped out of an airplane, most problems seem pretty manageable." "And that's why you're so innovative," Quinder added. "You're not afraid to try new things because you're not afraid to fail. Failure is just another learning experience." Pete said. The three aliens looked at each other. They had come here to study primitive Deathworlders. Instead, they had met the most fearless, adaptable, and psychologically resilient species in the galaxy. "We need to contact the Galactic Council immediately," Kethfer said. "Is something wrong?" Jake asked, concerned. "No," Kethfer replied. "Something is very, very right. But we need to completely change how we classify your species." "What does that mean?" Lisa asked. "It means," Dr. Vex said, closing his research, "notes that you're not just another Deathworld species. You're something entirely new. You've evolved beyond the normal limits of fear and survival instinct. You're probably the most dangerous species in the galaxy," Quinder added. "But not because you're violent, because you're fearless. And that," Ambassador Kethfer said, "changes everything." 3 hours later, Kethfer sat alone in his private office, composing his report to the Galactic Council. His hands were steady. Now, but his mind was still racing with the implications of what they had discovered. "Council members," he began typing, "our first contact with humanity has revealed something unprecedented. These beings have not merely survived their death world, they have transcended it. They have evolved beyond normal fear responses and turned danger itself into a source of pleasure and growth." He paused, thinking about everything he had seen. Recommendation: humanity should not be classified as a standard Deathworld species. They require a new classification entirely. I suggest apex adaptation species, beings who have mastered their environment so completely that they seek out new challenges for psychological development. He thought about Jake's easy smile, Lisa's excitement about everything, Pete's casual attitude toward deadly radiation. Secondary recommendation: any species that wishes to form an alliance with humanity should be prepared for rapid advancement in technology, exploration, and problem-solving capabilities. These beings do not know the meaning of impossible. He saved the report and sent it to the council. Through his window, he could see the human ship preparing to leave. Jake Morrison had invited the aliens to visit Earth sometime. You could see Yellowstone, Jake had said. Maybe catch a football game. Oh, and we're planning a mission to explore a black hole next year. Want to come along? Kethver had politely declined Dot as TH.